Hello, and welcome to the SQL Injection Crash Course, one of the top 10 vulnerability in web application. My name is Mohammed Atif. I am an information security consultant and a senior penetration tester with more than 20 years of experience in such projects. This course will cover the following points. First, we will be talking about an introduction to SQL injection. As I just mentioned, SQL injection is one of the top 10 web application vulnerability that led to compromising websites and compromising web application. So we're going to give you a brief about SQL injection. Then we're going to explain how SQL injection is working. To be able to master SQL injection, you need to understand how exactly the SQL injection is working and where is the weakness in the system. Then we're going to give a small demonstration about SQL injection, showing you how it can be effective and how we can bypass authentication using SQL injection and even dumping critical and sensitive information from any website using SQL injection. The fourth point, we're going to talk about searching for vulnerable websites. So I'm going to show you how hackers, malicious hackers, are searching for websites that is affected with SQL injection. Then we're going to talk about the major tools that is used in SQL injection. And we're going to focus on one specific tools used in Linux. And finally, I will give you a live example about SQL injection, but we will not compromise anything. I'm going to show you how deep it can go. And finally, we will be talking about some of the countermeasures that you can do to prevent SQL injection. So those will be the topics that will be covered in this small crash courses. I may add some additional resources to the courses to help you diving deeper into the topic. This is a very, very critical topic. And I hope this course will be informative for you.
During this section, I'll be covering SQL injection attack. SQL injection attack is considered one of the top 10 attacks that till today many websites get compromised because of SQL injection. We're going to start from scratch and I will try to dive deeper and deeper into SQL injection, getting you as much example as I can. So first we're going to explain what is SQL injection and where is the weakness in any website that allow any attacker to use SQL injection to get access to the website. Then we're going to try to use the SQL injection and we're going to try to get all information in the database that could include users and password and maybe confidential information like social security or credit card. Definitely will not do anything illegal, but I'm going to show you how it's easy to dump all this information using SQL injection. Then we will be taking some real life scenarios and I'm going to show you realistically how can you do that. And I'm going to give you some assessment as well. But my point here, do not to try that live unless you have a permission. This is illegal. It can cause you a lot of problems. So whatever we are doing, it will be done in a simulation environment. Yes, we're going to do some live example on some website. Some of them are already hosted for testing and some of them we're just going to start the process, but we will not resume just to make sure that we are not doing anything illegal. So you need to be aware when to stop the attack and do not try to break any rule. This is very important while we are doing that. So let's start and let's see what is SQL injection and how to use SQL injection to do a full attack on a website, getting full access on the website as an admin, dumping all the information on the database, and we're gonna use a specific tool in Kali Linux that allow us to do that. So let's see. Before setting up our lab and start doing SQL injection ourselves and see the results and so on, you need to understand in a very simplified way what is SQL injection and where is the weakness. So let's take a vulnerable website with SQL injection and let's try to explain what is SQL injection. So there is many websites that they have been created for testing, but I'm going to choose one from IBM. It's called Altru Mutual. Definitely this will not be the ones that we're going to do test on it, but you'll get the Altru Mutual. You'll get the definition, or you'll get to understand the SQL injection from here. So Altru Mutual, it's an online banking, of course a fake bank, but it will show you the concept. So this is a website, an online website like any website that we are using. And definitely there is a login page where you can type your username and password. And your username and password are saved in a database. This is very important, that any web application will be connected to a database at the back-end server where they verify what you are writing down. So if you are writing a username and password here, so for me, if I write a username like this one, username and password, for instance, the same, and I click login, definitely he will go to the back-end database, right? And he will check, do you have a user under the name of Atif and password Atif? And if it's there, he will let me in, and if not, he will give me a login fail. So definitely there is a database connected to the website at the back-end server, and this database are verifying whatever you are writing. Besides, if you put some information, if you are putting your profile, your information, this will be saved in the database as well. Now the point here in SQL injection, what if instead of writing down a username and password, what if I try to talk to the database at the back end using their language from those fields, right? I mean, definitely whatever I'm writing here, it will be verified using a SQL command and to the back-end database, and it will be according to the result. If the username and password are there or not, it will be, he will allow me to log in or not. Okay, what if I write something like that? Apostrophe or 1 equal 1 minus minus. Okay, now this in database mean, as a database language, apostrophe mean ignore whatever has been written before inside your code, and please check this result. Is 1 equal 1? And hyphen hyphen mean, or minus minus mean ignore what is in your program after that. So you just verify if 1 equal 1, which is a true, let me in. So if I take that, copy, and put it in a username and password, paste, and type login, we were able to log in as an admin account. Now, I don't ask you to be a SQL expert and to know how to write SQL language, because the tools that we're going to use are going to do that on behalf of you. But I just in this phase need you to understand where is the weakness here. So where do you think is the weakness? The weakness is that whoever created this website and web application, he should validate the input, right? I mean, whatever you are writing here, it needs to be validated. And if you are writing a SQL command to talk to the database, and the database will reply back by let you in or not, he should not allow that. He should not allow user to talk to the database. So what happened is that the programmer did not validate the input into the username and password, right? And he didn't make sure that what is written here is username and password and not a SQL command. my second point is SQL injection is not just used to bypass authentication. Yes, one of the reasons it's to bypass the authentication. But the concept here, if I'm able to talk to the database that exists on their server, right, on the bank server, and the database did reply back to me, because once they let me in, it means they accept the statement I wrote here, so they reply back to me. According to that, I can do much more than that, than bypassing. If the database is replying and obeying to what I'm asking them, asking it. So here I can write a SQL statement that, for instance, will dump all the data, all the bank clients' accounts, for instance, or bank transaction, or all the balance of the customer, or if I just need to, if I just know how to write a SQL statement. But even if I don't know, I can use a tool that we're gonna use during this section called SQLMAP. It's an amazing tool in Kali Linux that will do everything on behalf of you. All you have to do, your role is just to give him an infected website with SQL injection, and we're going to see how to identify the site infected with SQL injection. Give the SQL injection website to the program, and he will take care of everything. He will start communicating with the database, get you the database name, the database table, the database column, information, user, password, everything. You just need to know which website is infected to database and give this URL to this program. It's a quite amazing program. Okay, so this is the idea of SQL database, that you are talking to the database instead of writing a username and password. Okay, now what if the page didn't have a username and password? You can talk from the URL, so you can put here some SQL statement and see the reply back from the database. But still, we will not have to do that manually. There is also another program that we're going to use in Kali Linux that will scan the data, the website, and let you know if it's affected to SQL injection or not. So most probably you'll do nothing, just copying the comments. That's it. Okay. Now, before setting up our lab and start practicing, I hope you understand the concept. And if not, please let me know. I'll send you additional resources on to explain the SQL injection in a simplified way. But anyway, before starting, I just need also to give you an idea about the structure of database. This is important actually, because if you don't have experience with database, maybe some of the comment will not be that clear for you. The database consists of the following. Number one, it consists of tables. So each database has many tables. So for instance, we have a bank database. It may have a client table. It may have a customer table. It may have employee table, account table, and so on. And each table has column with the information. So I may have the first name from the customer. This is a column that include all customer first name. Username, all the username. Password, all the password, and so on. So this is the structure. So when you log into this database, you need to understand how many tables there is inside the database. Then you need to identify which is the critical table. I mean, if there is a table under the name of user, definitely this will be important because it will include the username and password. While if there is a table under the name of logs, yeah, it could be important, but not that much. Why should I download this table and check all the logs? You know what I mean? So it's important to first get to know how many database, then the structure of each database, and then to get the important table, and then to dump the information from the table. This will be our plan. So what we'll do next, first we're going to set up a lab to test, because I need you to test as much as you can. Then second, we're going to take a full scenario. Assume that you got a URL, a website, and you need to know if it's affected with SQL injection or not. And then if it's affected, I need to know how to manipulate the SQL injection to dump all information inside the database. And then finally, how can I use this information? If I was able to get a username and password, can I log in as an admin to the site, then remove the pages and put, can I log in as a power user? I'm going to see after getting the information how it can be used. So first, let's set up our lab. Now let's set up our lab. To be able to set up the lab, we need to install a virtual machine. The virtual machine name is OWASP Broken Web App. This has many websites. Some of them are infected with SQL injection and some of them are not. And your responsibility or your task, we're gonna do one together, but also you're gonna have to practice on the remaining web application. So let me show you how to set up a lab in a very easy way actually. So Google and go to OWASP Broken Web App, and you can type here download. And then you go to OWASP website. You can download it from here as well, except here they have more option into OWASP website. OWASP Broken Web App. And as you can see, you know, this is some information about OWASP. You go to the download here, download latest release, and they have different version. I mean, they have the ones that can work on VirtualBox, one can work on virtual machine. I prefer that you use the virtual machine one. So we're gonna open the first one, 1.2 version. And inside this folder, you're gonna find different OWASP. This is just an ISO image. And as you can see, if you check the first one, for instance, this has extension of OVA, which is a VirtualBox, which you are not looking for a VirtualBox unless you have VirtualBox. But I prefer to do like myself and have the same lab, so you'll be following and no problem can be showing. So you should choose the zip file. This is the VM or the virtual machine. So click on this one, and it will start the download process. It's around, I believe, 2 GB or 1.6, something like that. This is the file. It's 2.2 GB, but actually since I already downloaded, so the file I already downloaded here. So assume that you did download the file, and in my case, I downloaded the file, and here you go. This is the file that has been downloaded. The second step, you're gonna right click on it and you're gonna extract the file. So you click on and extract the file on the same location. Just make sure if you like save the file on the C drives that you have enough space on C. And I usually prefer that you don't save anything on C. Save it on D or E on external hard drive, you know. But since I already, I mean, if I click on OK, you're going to see that I already have the folder extracted. So I'm going to cancel the process. Once the folder have been extracted, it will be saved on the disk here. OWASP, here you go. OWASP. Yeah, here you go. And if you open the file, you're gonna find many files, including a virtual machine. Now, the next step that you need to do is to open the VMware player. Here you go. Open the VMware player. And go to the home tab and choose open a virtual machine, not create, open a virtual machine. Open a virtual machine, and then you go to the location of OWASP. So you go to the location of the OWASP folder, and you're gonna find the file here, OWASP Web App. You click on it and you click open, and the OWASP will show here. So you right click on it and you click power on. This is how you set up your lab. So I already, let me shut down the OWASP to show you from the beginning. Shut down guest. Now OWASP has a default username and password. Okay, so please write them down So as I told you, once it open, it will show here. You click on play virtual machine, and you're gonna see that it will request a username and password. By the way, the first time you run OWASP in a virtual machine, it will ask you, would you like to did you copy it or move it? It doesn't matter. Choose copy it or move it is the same. This is only when you've opened the virtual machine from the first time here. And if you have any problem downloading the virtual machine, let me know. I'll send you a Dropbox link to download it. So it start the OWASP. And once it start, it requests username and password. The username is root, and the password, let me show it to you, is OWASP broken app, broken web app. Just the initial from each word. So let me show it to you. So the password, I think should be here. Username and password. Here you go. It's OWASP broken web application. This is the password. You better write it down, and you can change it later on, not a problem, but this is the default password. So the username is the root, while this one will be OWASP broken web app. And that's it. Once you log in, nothing need to be done. On root again. Sorry. Root. Enter. OWASP broken web app. Okay. So he logged in. You don't need to start a graphical interface. You don't need nothing. All you need to have is the IP of this computer. So you type ifconfig and you get the IP. The IP here is 192.168.163.145. This will be your website that you're gonna test. So going to our Kali Linux machine, then you're gonna keep this one running and nothing else you need to do with it. Now you have a web server that have many web applications. Some of them are infected, some of them are not. Now going back to our Kali Linux machine, and let's see if the web application is up and running or not. So I'll close everything to start from the beginning. Sorry, I was just testing everything. So this is the Kali Linux machine, the hacker machine. Open your browser and type the IP that for the OWASP. So here you go. I'm gonna type 192.168.163.145, and it will open the OWASP broken web app. Each one of those is a website that has a web application which you can test. I mean, in our case, you're gonna take this one, OWASP break. This is a website that has a database. It has a login. If you go here to login page, you know, you have different user to login. It has a home page, and this will be our objective. Okay, but we're gonna do everything to this specific website, and this is the URL for this website. Okay, for yourself, once you test it and you're comfortable, you can try other website. Try this one, try that one. But you know, get practice. Not all of them are infected, or they are infected with different kind of problems. Some of them with SQL injection, some of them with LFI or RFI, some of them. But you can practice the SQL injection and see if you get used to it or not. So let's open our website, and this will be our target now. We have a website, and we need to know if this website has a SQL injection or not. And if so, can we dump all the information? Can we get a valid username and password that will allow us to log into the page? Let's see how to do this. Vulnerable with SQL injection or not? And if so, we need to know what can we get from this vulnerability. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to start using a vulnerability scanning tool, a tool that will scan the website for any vulnerability, SQL injection, cross-site scripting, any vulnerability. And according to the result, you're going to see what will be the next step. So there is many tools that allow you to do that in Kali Linux. So we're going to go to Kali, and we're going to go to web app. Let me just increase the size a little bit. So tools, first Kali Linux, here you go, and then let's see if we have anything related to web application, wireless web application, and web vulnerability scanning. And there is many tools, but myself, I prefer there is a tool by the name of Vega. It's a very, very powerful tool. You can try all of them. I mean, they will give you different results, but I'm going to start with Vega. Vega is a vulnerability scanning. I mean, it will not exploit, it will not hack. It will just show you the vulnerability inside the web application. And if there is a SQL injection, it will give you the infected link. And that's what you need to use another tool, which is the SQLMAP tool, to start dumping the information from this database. So I open Vega application, which is a vulnerability scanning, and go to a new scan. So I'm going to scan and then choose new scan. And here I'm going to put the URL. So I don't think that I took the URL. So let's copy. Again, what I'm looking for, number one, if the web application is vulnerable or not. Number two, if it's vulnerable with SQL injection, I need the infected link. So I'm going to put here, and we're going to click on next, and whatever remaining, I'm going to keep the same. I will not change any setting. Next, next, and finish. And then you're going to start scanning. This may take time, depend on the size of the web application. It may take few minutes, it may take 30-35 minutes. It will take time according to the size. So what we're going to do, we're going to just pause until he finish, because it may take like 10-15 minutes. And then we're going to see the result and see from where to take it, what should be the next step. So after completing the scanning, he's giving you a summary here. And we can see that he's infected with 2 SQL injections. There is 2 links infected with SQL injection. Okay, so SQL injection, we have 2. Now, from where can we get this link? You double click here on the left side, and here is showing you the result, and those are the result of the scanning. The high one is 34, and we're gonna check the SQL injection. Here you go, we have 2 links, and this is the first link. It's infected with SQL injection. Now, let's take this link and copy it and put it inside the browser, because this what will be working on it. This is what I'm looking for, the infected link. So I'll open here a browser. It's already open, and I will open a new tab, and this is the infected SQL injection link. This what do you need to be able to get the remaining of information. So once I get this link, I actually have 2. I mean, if this one is not working, you can try the second one. But definitely, if he's getting you the infected link, most of the time it's gonna work. On the next lecture, we're gonna see how to use this infected link to check what database they have on the server, what information they have inside, what are the user accounts and the user password, and the password is encrypted. He will also decrypt the password. So we're gonna start using this amazing tool called SQLMAP. Let's see how to use it. The infected link using one of the web applications. Now we're going to move to an amazing tool called SQLMAP. SQLMAP will save you the time to do the SQL statement that we explained at the beginning of the section manually. So what we're going to do is first to see how SQLMAP works. So SQLMAP, -h or help will show you all the commands that you can use. Okay. Now, I don't want you to memorize syntax or command or anything. I copy all the commands that you may need in this folder. So let me just, here we go. And let me also minimize that. And as I was saying, I did create a folder by the name of SQL Injection, where there is a file called SQLMAP. This virtual machine will be shared with the course resources as a Dropbox link. And I did write down all the commands that you may need. All you have to change will be the URL, the infected URL. So let's see how to use it and what can I get. So you need to understand, do not just copy and paste, because this is important. So in my case, what is the affected website? This is the affected website, right? So I'm going to take a copy and I'm going to open the terminal. Let me clear the screen. And we're going to type SQLMAP -u, which stands for URL, and then you put the URL. This will be the start of any command in SQLMAP. SQLMAP -u and the URL. And whatever you want, it will be added by the end of the line. So for instance, okay, let me just, can we increase that a little bit? Oh, sorry. Space, and we can type --dbs, and dbs will get you all the database. We'll try to talk to the database inside this web application to get you all the database information from here. And as you can see, usually if you do that for the first time, you'll get a couple of questions. Anything that you get, just click on yes, and it's telling you that he found the following database: bricks. All of them are MySQL version 5 first, and those are the database name. Now, this is actually unbelievable because he didn't just get you the database in this web application. I mean, if you get back to the website, the OWASP website, okay, and before choosing this OWASP website, this was the main page once we open the IP. As you can see, there is one called WebGoat, there is one GetBo, Chat, there is many websites. We choose the WPA break, right? But what happened is when I used SQLMAP and -DFS or database system, he got me all the database on the server. Not just the break, but all of them are here. You'll find the Goat, GetBo, breaks. This is the database. So there is a database under this name, which is MS SQL 5. Okay, so you start to get the database name. This is the first step to do. I was able to get the database name and database type. Excellent. The second comment, which will be this one, to get all the username, database username. Okay, so we can just take it, copy here. So you can see the same comment, except I added after the comment, sorry, yeah, ---dbms equal MySQL, which is the type of SQL because you need to identify, then --user. So this is the only part I added, and this part has been added to get you the username. So I'm just going to move this DBS and put this part, paste, minus, and he got me some user, valid user to the database, to different database. I mean, this is the user for the Brex database and so on. But let's take it in a logic way. I mean, do you remember, let me show you, the database structure? So we spoke about the database structure, and database consists of tables and columns. So what I'm going to do right now, I was able to get the database name. This database name is bricks, right? I need to know the table inside and check which is the more critical or more valuable table, okay? Which one may have critical information. So what we're gonna do, going back here, I'm gonna use this command, which is this one. So I'm gonna use the same URL, but I'm gonna add -d breaks, I mean from the database breaks, because he find many databases. So I'm gonna tell him, no, I'm just interested in the breaks database. I want to see all the table. So we're gonna click on copy, and getting back here, let me first clear the screen. And get the same comment, and we're gonna remove the user. I'm just gonna add this part. So now I'm putting the URL, then the type of database, then I'm gonna add -D breaks, which is I'm specifying which database he should search. Show me all the table, and click on enter. And as you can see, he only find one table called user. Most probably this is a very important table that will have all the username and password, right? So, but in realistically, you're going to find many tables. You need to check which one may have the username and password. Sometimes it's under the name of emails, credential, you know, whatever the name, but you'll be able to figure out. The second step is to see the column of this user. This table called user, what columns they have inside? Do they have a username and password, email, address, phone number? I need to know what column is inside. So we're going to use this command, which is, I'm going to add now. So it will be -d breaks, same, and -t table. I'm asking him, could you check the table, and then hyphen column. So I'm telling him, could you show me the column inside the table called user? And from where did I get the user? From here. It showed me that there is a table called user from the database called breaks. So let me take this part and add it to the SQL map. So here you go, and we're going to remove this part and add paste. Now usually whenever you do that for the first time, it will ask you a question and you keep answering yes, right? But because I did it before for testing, you know, it's skipping the question. So as you can see, the table has email for all user, host, industry, lang, name. I'm interested in names and password. I want to see all the username and password and email, because I'm going to use one of them to log into the account. So here's what I should do. I should ask him, could you check inside the bricks, inside the user, inside the column? I want you to get me all the name and password and email, and continues --dump. So copy, and getting back the same comment. Let me remove the last part, and let's see, paste. And as you can see, start asking me question. Anything, click on capital yes, except one only step you may skip. Yeah, here you go. And he finds 4 user. These are the user, admin, and this is his email and password is admin, Tom. He also encrypted, because the password file is encrypted. He decrypts them. So let's try Tom and Tom. I mean, you know, there is an account on the database under name of Tom and Tom. So let's go to the website. Here you go. And let's go to the get break. Let's see if this is a valid username and password. And let's log in. Let me go to the login page and login 1, and then type Tom and the password Tom. And I was able to log in successfully. So this is how SQL injection, in a very easy way, can get you the credentials. Sometimes you can get an admin account that will allow you to log into the page and remove some of the page and change and do a lot of modification. It's quite easy to use and very, very common vulnerability, the SQL injection. So now let's try another example. Let's take another example. but a live one. But in this example, we will not dive that deep. I mean, we will reach a stage where we are comfortable that we can get everything, but we will not do anything illegal. So there is different way in Google that allow you to search for infected website. There is something called Google Dorks. So if you Google it, just search for Google Dorks for, let me show it to you. Google Dorks for database, Google Dorks for SQL injection, and it will give you some keywords that allow you to search for infected website. Not, I mean, 100% infected, but you know, you'll find a good list of infected websites that you can use. So if you search, you'll be able to get some searching key like this one or that one that allow you to search for an infected website. So I tried one, and I will just show you a proof of concept, no more. And this is a site, and I'll take it, the URL, and I'm going to try to use SQLMAP on that, and let's see if it's going to work or not. So here you go. Let me open the terminal. Where is the terminal? Open terminal, and okay. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to just type. Let me increase the size for you so it will be clearer. Zoom in again. And let's try SQL map -u, and let's try first to get information about the database inside this one. -dbs. Okay. We get the first question, we click on yes, and the second one also yes. So he's trying to enumerate the database on the server, and let's see if he will be able to get something or not. Now, one more time. Till this stage, if you are doing that online, is okay. I mean, getting the database name is fine. It's not the perfect thing to do, but it's fine. It's not something that will, cause you problem. But if you go deeper than that, this will be a problem. So we're just gonna stop once we get some information. And once you know that you can go deeper than that, but do not do that live. Okay, so seem great because he was able to get me that there is a they are using Microsoft SQL 5, and this is the available database. We have two different database, information schema and the Romanian SVS. Information schema usually is not a database, it's just having some metadata, so most probably this will be the one. So if you continue with the comments that we explained, getting the table inside the database, checking the right table and getting the column and then getting the data, you'll be able to get a valid username and password. You will be able to get all the username and password. And even if they could have more information, they could have social security, personal information, credit card. So this is how SQL injection work. And this is two different examples. One of them is in our lab, and the second one is the demo. I will not go deeper than that when it comes to live unless I have a permission, and I encourage you not to do more than that for live website unless you have a permission, of course. So this is SQL injection. If you need more resources, because actually SQL injection, it's a very, very deep subject, but it's very powerful. I mean, if you master the SQL injection, this will be a very good skills to have. If you need more resources, let me know. I can share with you a very good resources if you plan to dive deeper into SQL injection. Practice that and practice on this web application, the broken web applications that I showed you how to install it and how to run it in a virtual machine. It has many web applications. Test, work, see how it works. I just want to add one point, that there is one option in SQLMAP. It's called minus level. Sometimes when you try to use the SQLMAP, it will tell you that he was not able to find anything. You know that this link is infected. But if you try to use use it the regular way, it will not get you any result. So in this case, what we'll do, it's type minus level, and you have from 1 to 5. From 1 to 5. And this will do a more deeper search. I mean, he will use other SQL injection methodology and other SQL injection tool to be able to get more information. But this will take time and it will exhaust the database. So if it didn't work on the first time, try to use minus level 2 or 3 or 5 is the maximum. But this is in your lab. Do not try the minus level in a production environment or on a live website, because this may cause problem. So this is one more tools that you can use that will dive a little bit, or will dig a little bit deeper into the database, checking or manipulating the information inside.